This is Field Tech Readiness. The mission is about to begin.
Today we're talking comms, why you need them before SHTF, and why you should get them now. Let's get into it. Communications, or comms as they're often referred to, is an essential and integral part of being prepared and ready and self-reliant. And I want to give you this food for thought that you should get your comms now if you don't have them. A lot of people that I've spoken with, they're putting off getting comms. I really should do it, but it's time consuming and it's an expense and it's this and it's that. I understand that. But with radios today, they're so affordable that you can get them at a very reasonable price and get into it right now before SHTF or some kind of disaster happens, which can be an SHTF event. Cell towers are out or internet goes down, which has been happening across the country. There have been pockets of cell service going out and internet going down. I'm thinking it's either a test to see how well people will deal with not having cell service and internet, or it's some kind of a foreign entity who is messing with our communication system. Could be both. Could be that the government is working along some foreign entity and they're seeing how far they can push people without communications. But guess what? If you have a radio, the airwaves are always free. They're always going to be there. And knowing how to use them now and knowing how to use the equipment now is going to put you ahead of the game exponentially. And it's something that you should be using in your daily setup. I use my two-way radio with friends of mine where I am every day. They don't have cell phones. They won't have cell phones. They have two-way radios, and we communicate through GMRS, through repeaters, and we stay in contact that way. There's a lot of reasons I'm not going to get into in this video why they don't have cell phones. But let's just suffice it to say, since 2020, they've no longer had cell phones. They've gotten rid of them. They all talk on two-way radios. So I want to talk to you about the radios that I have here, a few upgrades, and what I think are the best choices for you to make for two-way comms in 2026 and going forward. Now, the first one that I want to start with, and by the way, these are all Baofeng. And I know a lot of people out there, oh, yeah, you're promoting Baofeng. It's garbage. You don't know what you're talking about. Anybody who's into radios knows Baofeng is junk and blah, blah, blah. I've been a ham since the mid-'80s. I no longer talk on ham. I talk only on GMRS because the barrier to entry is very low. The cost to entry is very low. And it's something that everybody can get into. One person in the family can get a license. Mom, dad can get a license, and it covers the entire family. Where with ham, every single person has to have a ham license. There's studying to do, there's a test to take, there's levels to ham, there's a whole bunch of crap that you have to do to get into ham radio. And trust me, it's not worth it in this day and age. GMRS is building exponentially. The repeaters out there are building exponentially. You're going to have a lot more choices with GMRS as far as radios and people to talk to, because they're really, in the areas that I've been recently, there aren't many people talking on ham. Not at all. Everyone is talking on GMRS. And with the radios that I have, I've been able to reach 130 miles to 161 miles from where I'm sitting in all directions, north, south, east, and west. And I've done it through the repeater network that is found in the area where I am right now. GMRS is the better choice and way to go for communications and for setting up your family with communications. Also with GMRS, another thing is if your family has the FRS radios, the little bubble plastic radios you can buy at the box stores or wherever, the little Motorola's or Unidens or whichever ones you have, you can use those along with these to stay informed. So maybe the kids have the little walkie-talkies. You can get on the same channels with these and stay in contact with the children, with other people that might have the little FRS radios. Maybe a lot of people in your neighborhood have FRS radios. This is a way to help boost your capabilities to talk with other people on GMRS. So let's say you're in a neighborhood and your neighbors all have FRS radios and you're in communications with how, what's going on, someone's injured, this or that. No cell phone, no internet. Now you have the capability to gather that information from those FRS radios, then get on GMRS and transmit that out to someone who can maybe call for EMS or fire or police or whatever might need to be called. You have that capability with your radio. So GMRS is the way to go. Now the first radio that I want to talk to you about is the Baofeng AR5RM. Now I will have links to all these radios and all the upgrades that I've done to them down in the links below, so you can go to those links and you can find these for yourself. They're all Amazon links, and this way you'll be able to set up your radios the same as I have done here. And let me tell you, everything I have set up here works absolutely fantastic. I have no problems with them. I have no gripes or concerns about them. I can transmit and receive just fine on all these radios without any problem. Okay, back to the AR5RM. Now this is the standard configuration that comes, minus this rubber cover that you might see on here. I added that for extra protection. So the radio comes, it looks very similar to this. It has a little 2500 milliamp hour battery on the back that it comes standard with. You can upgrade the batteries. There's a 3500 milliamp, a 52, and a 68. I have taken the 2500 milliamp batteries. I have it on here just to show you. But what I have done is I've taken the 2500 and I've upgraded it to the 6800. Now you can see the difference here in size. Same radio, 2500 milliamp battery, 6800 milliamp battery. And for the price, compared to the 35 and the 52, the 6800 is the best bang for your buck, and it's going to give you the longest run time of the radio without having to recharge. So in my opinion, the 6800 is the best way to go. All my radios get upgraded to the 6800 battery so that I'm sure that I have long communications for whatever happens and however long I might need them. Sorry. Yeah, the 25, the 35, the 52, and the 68, they all have USB-C charging. They do come with a cradle, so you can cradle charge them, but I don't use the cradles. I get rid of them. I want the USB-C. Because if I have this on me, and let's say I've been using it for a few days and the battery's going down, I can take one of my little portable power packs. I can plug in a cord to the USB-C. I can charge the radio and keep it running for as long as I need. And my little power packs are solar, so they charge from the sun. So I can indefinitely run my radios off of my little portable power pack just by keeping it in the sun. And it's not that hard to do. I can, if I'm walking somewhere, I can throw it over my back so the sun's on it, run a cord. You know, if I have this clipped on my belt, run a cord down to it, keep it plugged into here. It's charging the radio. The little portable power pack is charging from the sun, and I have indefinite means of communications with my radio. Now, with the AR5RM, this is a great radio. It's a step up from the UV5R. And for the difference in price, it's worth spending a little more to get a lot more radio. This radio will listen to airbands. It will listen to GMRS. It'll listen to ham. It can work on FRS and MERS. So you have a plethora of ways to communicate with people and to receive information just with this radio. It also has FM radio, so that you can turn on FM radio and scan through the stations and listen for any intel of something that might be happening in your area. Maybe a traffic accident, maybe a fire, maybe an earthquake, a tornado, whatever the event might be. You can listen to the FM radio stations and find out that information as well. So this is an all-in-one unit, and it's a great unit. As like I said, it's a step up from the UV5R. It's worth a little more investment, and it enhances your capabilities exponentially, and it's just a great radio. One of the other things that I do, and I talk about this in a previous video I did about radios, and you'll see it over here when I talk about the DM32, and it's the same with this radio and the other ones that I have. One of the first upgrades that I make is I take a connector, which is an SMA connector, and basically what it means is it's a thread on. You have to screw it all the way on and unscrew it if you want to remove the antenna or put the antenna on. I upgrade this to a BNC connector. A BNC connector, it just pops on, quarter turn, it's locked on, and it's good. You're good to go. The antenna is ready to go. One of the key features I like about this is if I needed to store this away somewhere when I'm not using it, I can take the antenna off, put it in a pouch or a pack or whatever, and I'm not having to worry about that antenna getting broken or snapping off on the radio, because the SMA connectors are known to be a weak point. So if you do the BNC, it does strengthen this connector because of the way the BNC connector goes on the radio. It locks down on here, and it's a very strong connection. You put the other end on the antenna, because this is an SMA antenna, and then you pop it on and turn it, and boom, there you go. You're ready to go. If you need to change antenna, if you need to swap to a different antenna, you can easily do that. If you're running a J-pole or some other type of antenna, or if you're going to use this as a mobile radio, which I discussed in my other video as well, you can put on a BNC antenna that is up on the top of your vehicle, plug in a mic on the side, because this does have a mic jack. These all have mic jacks on the side where you can plug in a K-connector microphone, and then you have a mobile comms system set up that's quick and easy to put into your vehicle. And if you need to abandon your vehicle or ride with somebody else, you can pop that antenna off, take the microphone and go to another vehicle, pop on this type of BNC antenna, and boom, now you're back to a handheld, and you have a great means of communication. So this is a great radio if you want to upgrade and you want to get into comms. This is a great radio to start with, the AR5RM. Now, I don't use the belt clips. I installed this on here so you can see it does come with a belt clip. These aren't very sturdy. They're plastic. They have a tendency to break. I wouldn't trust them, hanging on my pants for an extended period of time, because these can break and then you could lose your radio. There are upgraded clips that are metal that you can get if you want a clip, and I will put that in the link as well down in the description for them. But my suggestion is to get a case and put it in a case so that it's protected. One of the things that I do when I first get them is I get these little rubber sleeves. I don't know how well you can see it on there, but if you look at this one, you can see the buttons, the orange, the blue, and the green, and you can't see the orange, blue, and the green. That's because there's a rubber protector, rubber sleeve that goes over this, and it protects the radio, and it also gives you some extra grip. It's a grippy feel. These are nicely built. They're very solidly built, but they are kind of smooth. So if you had cold hands or wet hands, it could slip around in your hand, where with this rubber on here, it gives you a nice good feel, makes it nice and solid in your hand, and it protects the radio if you were to drop it or bang it around. It gives it an extra protection layer. So I even put the shorter ones, because I can't find a longer one yet, but I even take this one that fits this radio, and I still keep it on with the longer battery. Now this part of the battery is not protected, but at least the radio is protected. The radio itself is protected by having this rubber cover, and again, it gives me some great grip when I'm holding onto the radio. So the AR5RM, it's Chirp compatible, and Chirp is the programming software that you can use with any computer, a PC or Mac, and you can program the AR5RMs with the Chirp program. It's pretty straightforward. There is tutorials on YouTube about how to use Chirp, so you can program all your channels through your computer and have it one and done. And for instance, what I did is I programmed this radio, put all of the channels in here with Chirp, saved it in the computer. Then I simply had to take this radio, plug it in, and I could copy all that information from that radio onto this radio. One and done. Boom. So these radios are programmed exactly the same, all the same information. They're good to go. And they're great, like I said, great for communication. They have great little microphones on them. They have great little speakers on them. You can hear really well. Again, you can plug in a microphone and use the microphone. So I wouldn't hesitate to to use these, if this is all they had, I would definitely buy multiples of them and make sure they were set up all the same and give them to everybody I knew, so that we could all communicate with one set of radios that do the same thing. And if things needed to be changed, I know that I could easily do it, because you can also program these from the keypad. These keypads are much like the old Nokias or other cell phones back in the day, where when you were putting in a text, you had to do the ABC or the DEF or the GHI. That's how these are. And with the menus, it's pretty straightforward on how to program this from the keypad if you need to. So they're not difficult at all. A little bit of time, a little bit of practice, a little bit of playing around with them, and you get the hang of it really quick. And I will do a complete video on programming these radios, on programming all of these, so that you can understand how easy it is to do it through the keyboard as well as doing it through Chirp. But again, there are plenty of tutorials on programming Chirp, programming with Chirp on the radios. Now, on this radio, what you see here is what's called a gooseneck antenna. It's bendable, so you can make it a directional antenna if you know where your signal's coming from. If you have a repeater that you're using, or if you're trying to get to somebody directly, you can bend this and aim it directly towards that direction for a little greater gain in distance. But otherwise, it's a very heavy duty, a great little antenna. It works very well. This is my second favorite antenna, and I got these off of Amazon. Again, I'll have a link down in the description so you can find them. But what I use these are RADTEL 13.7 inch tri-band antennas. These are the best bang for your buck antenna for these kind of radios, because they work on 3 bands. I can listen to the aircraft channels, I can listen to GMRS, and I can listen to ham. I can also listen to MERS and FRS, but I get great reception with the aircraft channels, and I get great reception and transmission on GMRS and ham. Now, I said I don't do ham anymore. I still transmit just for testing to make sure that my signal's getting out, because in an emergency, if for some reason I did need to get onto ham, I still could. But I don't prefer to use ham at all. I prefer to use GMRS. And these little antennas, they work fantastic for transmission and reception. Also, they work great for receiving the FM radio bands as well. Now, this is a step up from the AR5RM. And when I say a step up, they're not a step up price-wise, because you can get these for the same price you can get these. And if you're going to spend the money on these, you might as well spend the same money and get these. Actually, these were less expensive than these by $5. I got 2 of them. I got a set for cheaper than the price of these. But this comes with a lot of added benefits over the AR5RM. This is the 5RH Pro. One of the biggest step-up features of this radio is it has GPS. So I can GPS my position to somebody else that has a 5RH Pro, and vice versa. They can GPS me their location. This also works with APRS. And APRS is a great way to send information so that you could stay in contact with maybe a group leader or maybe your spouse that you want to stay in contact. Let's say, you're at work, the spouse is home or out shopping or whatever, and you need to get, something's going on. There's a big accident, or there was a big explosion, or like when East Palatine, Ohio, where they had the train derailment. This would have been a great way to be in contact with your husband or wife in the situation where you needed to get comms and find out where each other was. You could quick send a GPS location. They could respond with their GPS location, and you know where everyone is. You know what's going on. So this radio here is a nice little step up. It does all the same features this one does, all the same bands, all the same channels and stations, just with the added benefit of the GPS and the APRS capabilities. So that is a great reason to go step up to the 5RH Pro. Exactly the same layout with the same buttons. If you look here on the one, this is the one with the 2500 milliamp hour, 6800 milliamp hour. You can see that it has the orange, blue, and green buttons, just like the AR5RM, which here I'll show you that. So AR5RM, 5RH Pro, you can see the faces are identical. The difference is I can tell the 5RH Pro because it has this orange trim button on the top. But otherwise they're the same as far as the front configuration and the way they look. The screens are a little bit different. This one is a more colorful screen, but it functions the same. You can program. You can't program this through Chirp, but you can program through the front. Now, one of the other good things about these radios is that you can do what's channel copy. And so if I have a channel in here that I want to copy over to here, I can copy that very simply, pushing two buttons on here, pushing the transmit button on here. It will copy the information, all the information, to this radio, and I can simply save it, and then I have the same channels programmed on both radios. So frequency copy is a great thing to have for all these radios, and they all of them that I have do it. Now from there, we step up to one that's even a little more sophisticated, and that is the DM32, which I did a video on, and I'll link that video up here in the corner and down in the description if you want to go watch it. And it probably will be linked at the end of this video, so when the video's over you can click on it and find it and watch it as well. I'm not going to go over all the features of this because it's in that video, but suffice it to say that this is even a step up from the other two. This does have GPS and APRS capabilities, but it also comes with the feature of AES 256 encryption. So you can encrypt your comms with this radio. AES 256 is the same encryption that financial institutions and banks use to secure your accounts. So it's military grade encryption that cannot be hacked, and it works very well with this radio and other radios that are like it, other radios that are AES 256 capable as well. This is a great radio. It's a little smaller. It has the 2500 milliamp battery on it. It does have the USB-C charging capability. This battery attaches with a screw, where these are just clip-on. You have a little button you push and it unclips. The one problem with these radios is if you drop them, the batteries tend to pop off. And one of the things with this rubber sleeve is that tends to keep that from happening, because the sleeve comes around the bottom. So if the radio becomes detached, it won't go flying off. It might become detached, but it's usually held in place by this rubber. And I did try this to see if it would work, and it did. The battery did not come off when it dropped. The one that didn't have, it did pop off. Now I did this on a carpeted floor so it wouldn't damage the radio, but I wanted to see if the battery would pop off, because this type of radio that has this little push button and it just slides off, it has this little clip here, they do tend to become dislodged when if the radio is dropped. And in a situation, you know, anything's possible. It can slip out of your hand, fall out of a pocket. You could drop it, and then if the radio pops off, if you're in the woods or wherever, then you have to try to hunt down the battery and find where it went. So with this, that's one of the reasons I get this, is to protect the body of the radio and to keep the battery from flying off. But this one is attached with a screw. It's not going to pop off if you drop the radio. This also is capable of charging in a cradle, but again, I don't use the cradles. I don't like them. I just prefer the USB-C. Again, this radio, as I pointed out in the other video, it is switched over to the BNC. All my radios are immediately set up with the BNC connectors so that I can interchange the antennas and use it. You know, I could take this antenna here, quickly quarter turn, pop it off, quarter turn, pop it off, swap these antennas if I wanted to. I like that setup. This one too can also be used as a mobile setup. You could use your little BNC connector antenna that goes on the roof of your vehicle, plug in your microphone on the side, and you have a great little mobile setup. these are lightweight, even for 2500 milliamp. This radio here, even though it's smaller, is a little bit heavier than this radio. So these are lightweight. They're a thinner form factor. You can also get an upgraded battery for this. You can go up to from a 2500 to a 3800 milliamp hour battery. And I have heard that there is a 6000 milliamp battery coming out for this radio. So you could even put one that's similar to this on and have a great extended range of runtime with that bigger battery. But even the 3800 from the 2500 is going to give you an increased 1300 milliamps. That's going to give you a lot. These radios don't draw a lot of power, so they can run a long time on a battery. And again, you have the USB-C, so if you had it in a pocket, you could have a little portable power pack, plug it in, and keep the battery charged on the go, and you're good to go. So if you want to see all the differences, I will do a video specifically diving into all the differences. Again, I'm going to do a long form video showing how to program. That's probably going to be a multi-part series because I'm going to go through each radio and the differences and how to set them up and how to program them manually through the keypad and all that stuff. It's not that hard. This one will also do where you can set up private call groups in it as well. So it's kind of like a cell phone. You could set up a private call group that's encrypted, and you can have conversations, encrypted conversations. So this is a extremely versatile radio, much more capable than the other two. Does cost a little bit more money, but the costs are exponentially coming down. And you want to make sure if you buy one, you get the DM32, not the UV32, because the DM stands for digital. This will do digital and analog. These other two are strictly analog. The UV32 is strictly analog. So this one here does digital and analog, which makes this radio a huge step up from just the straight analog radios. So you have to make the choice. But my recommendation is get some radios now, get to know how to use them, practice with them, talk to people with them, use them for your family, your group. If you're a church goer, use them with your church group. If you're in some kind of a hiking group, use them with your hiking group. It's a great way to have communications on the trail. It's a great way to practice how to use communications, how to learn radio speak. And I will make a video talking about all the different 10 codes. There's a military 10 code and there's a civilian 10 code. I'll go through all that, explain all those, and there are some other terms that you can use for communicating. If you want to talk in code, you don't want to talk, straight out in an ABC format. You want to use a 10 code because not everybody knows the 10 codes. So once you learn the 10 codes, you can, what's your 1020? That's your location. So you can quickly say, hey, radio 2, what's your 1020? Oh, okay, radio 1, my 1020 is, and then they can tell you their location. So I'll get into all that down the road, explaining all the 10 codes. Also the phonetic alphabet. There's a military phonetic alphabet and a civilian phonetic alphabet. A lot of people say, oh, there's just a military. No, there isn't. There's two of them. I was a paramedic for a decade, and we used the civilian phonetic code because it differs from the military, and at that point, military was strictly for the military, and the civilian was strictly for the civilian. So, but now you have a crossover because you have so many people that were in the military that are now working in the civilian sector, and that phonetic code, that military phonetic code, is so ingrained in them that a lot of places have started switching over to the military phonetic code because they already know it, and it's much easier to transition that way than to try to use a civilian one and a military one. But I will go through both of them and teach you both of them so that you understand and how you use them. So if you found this information helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee because, as you saw in the beginning of this video, this channel is not YouTube monetized, and it never will be. I will be independent, and it's only you, the viewer, that helps fund me and make these videos possible. So if you're of the mind to buy me a coffee, the link is in the description. Please go there and do so. I greatly appreciate it. Never forget to keep planning, training, preparing, and defending. We'll see you in the next one, and I thank you for watching.